I'm John Eckerson. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good.
Okay, so what was your occupation?
I was a teacher here for 21 years and the assistant high school principal for 22 more.
Worked a long time here. Was it this high school or was it?
It was the old original building over toward downtown. That was all there was. There was a
Okay. I heard there was a fireplace in the school. Do you remember that?
Yes, that was in our kindergarten. As a matter of fact, when I was in kindergarten, we used to have papers rolled out on the floor, rolls of paper, and we had to lay down on the paper and take a nap.
So it worked?
Huh? Did it what?
Did it work? Could
Oh,
you
I
get
guess
fire?
so. I guess so, yeah. I started school here in 1926, I think.
Probably good for all those cold, acrid nights and days right now. So you lived here your whole life?
Just about, except for college and war years. Yep.
What made you decide to stay here?
When my mother died and my father wanted me to come home from Massachusetts, where I was working, and help raise my little brother, who was 12 years younger, I came home and I worked for a construction company, except one day my little brother came home from school and was talking about his science teacher, who I guess was losing it. So I spoke to the principal, Mr. Allen, and said in April, I said, I would come over and substitute for him if you'd like. Mr. Allen said that would be fine, and I stayed 43 more years.
That's a good way to get a job. You mentioned the war. Would that be World War II?
World War II. Mm-hmm.
Did you fight in Europe or
No,
the
I
Pacific?
didn't fight anywhere except at Curtis Wright Aviation Company up near the Buffalo Airport. I helped to move airplanes around and get them built and so forth.
Okay. You know Eckerson Avenue, right along Bloomingdale Avenue?
Yes, I'm familiar with it. It's spelled the same as my name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have any idea how that got named
I
that way?
think it was from my great-great-grandfather, John Eckerson. I think.
You think?
There's nobody alive that can tell me now.
Well, on your preliminary questionnaire, you said the Methodist church fire affected you. Why?
Because I was a member, not a member, but I was in that church from the time I was practically old enough to walk around, and it was just like home to me. My mother was church organist there all of her life.
What year was that in?
And the fire?
Yeah.
I think it was 1944. Two. I guess it was two. Great. No, as a matter of fact, I was hitchhiking home from Cornell University and got a ride with a man who, when I told him I was from Akron, he said, there was quite a fire you had yesterday. I said, what fire? He said, well, the Methodist church burned to the ground. And that's how I found out about it. I didn't get to see it. My mother saw it. And she stood in Russell Park, watched the fire burn, watched the belfry go, and the church bell way in the belfry fell way down into the cellar
Wow.
with a big clank, I guess.
That would have been so horrible to watch.
It was, I
And amazing.
presume.
Okay, is there any memories you'd like to talk about when you worked here at the high school?
Oh, there were several things. I think I got along with most of the students. I was rather strict. I was supposed to be. The one thing that sticks in my mind is the day I caught some youngster with a pipe bomb. It was about 6 inches long, and I didn't know he had it till it exploded over in the gymnasium building, which was in the high school at the time. Didn't hurt anybody. He used it in an empty corridor down in the back of the gym. But that, I never forget that. I'm sure of that.
It actually exploded?
Yeah, he set it off, yeah.
How'd you catch him with it?
I had seen, somebody had told me he had it during the day in his pocket. It's about 6 inches long. And I don't know how I happened not to get it away from him before he set it off, or maybe I had him set it off. I've forgotten. We're going back a ways now, you know. In fact, I'm so used to this building, the old building, that I spent 56 years of my life walking up and down the same hallways. 56 years, half a century.
So what do you think when you see the school now? All extended?
Oh, I get lost when I come to visit now because it's so much bigger than it used to be.
Barely remember this, so you're at the school.
Oh, I had one of the first camera clubs. I had an audiovisual aids club. We had the equipment in those days was two big 35 millimeter cameras, motion picture machines, and that was about it. I think what I ought to tell you, you mentioned my I mentioned not being in the service, the armed service,
Yeah.
because I couldn't go. I was made 4F because I had a punctured eardrum. And at that time, I wasn't a good candidate to go overseas and be gassed when the gas would go through my ear into my body, so they wouldn't take me. And all my buddies went, all my friends I grew up with and went to high school here with, went to the service, and I had to hang around home. So as a result, I got to run the Boy Scout troop. I was the only one around. Yeah.
You mentioned you were vice principal. Did you ever make it to principal status?
I did for a short period of time. There was a time when they hired a principal who came here and worked about 4 months and decided he couldn't do it anymore, so I filled out the year as the principal, but that was just a short term.
Besides the visual aids club and the camera club, did you run any other activities?
Oh yes, I was a class advisor
Which
for
class?
2 or 3 senior classes, yeah.
Did you get involved with the sports?
No, I didn't really. No, I was too busy to be in sports. Even when I was in high school, I worked all my spare time rather than get into sports, although I guess I could have. I was big enough, strong enough.
During your years here as a student, did you did you get involved in any of the activities here?
Oh yes, I was in the senior play. I had the lead part. I've forgotten the name of the play, but I was in the senior play and sang in the glee club. I like to sing, still do.
I love singing.
Good for you.
About your music?
Oh yes, I was a drum player. I played in the school band. I played in the small orchestra that about 8 of us youngsters had. As a matter of fact, one New Year's Eve, I played in what's now the Akron House in a little band in 1937. Speaking of long ago.
How long did you play the drums?
I played the drums all the way through high school, through college, and then in the Akron Village Band for 15 years.
Sorry, I'm screwing up. Historian, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, but I think I'd like to have everybody know that this is a fine school system. I thought it was good when I was here, and I think it's good right now. As a matter of fact, I'm quite proud to have graduated from here. Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it.
That's good.
Well, I'd like to thank you for coming here and sharing your time with us.
Well, it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.